New at 10, the Federal Bureau of Prisons has launched an investigation after multiple employees at the federal prison in Phoenix fell ill. Good evening. Thanks so much for joining us for 12 News at 10. I'm Kariba Devine.
I'm Mark Curtis. Those workers were reportedly exposed to an unknown substance. We don't know what it is at this point, and they had to be given Narcan. 12 News journalist Bianca Bono sat down with a local union president. And Bianca, when did all this go down?
Yeah, Mark Caribe, earlier this month. And we're told it happened 5 times in less than 2 weeks.
This federal prison in North Phoenix is now at the center of an investigation after multiple employees reported being exposed to an unknown substance.
Did Narcan have to be deployed each time?
Yes.
Lauren Hogan is a correctional officer for the Federal Bureau of Prisons. He's also the local union president, representing the Federal Correctional Institution in Phoenix. He says this started on May 8th, when 2 employees searching cells in a housing unit all of a sudden fell ill.
The first 2 guys hit their body alarm, which is on our radios. We have a device to notify people that we're in distress.
Narcan was used, and Hogan says there was a cursory search of the unit. But a few days later, he said it happened again.
A medical person, he got when he was in a cell. Then again, another medical person.
Then a 5th incident was reported involving a staffer who had already been exposed days earlier. He was hospitalized.
After the 5th exposure, the warden made the decision to lock down the institution, and they went through each housing unit methodically.
Do you believe that should have happened sooner?
I do.
A Federal Bureau of Prisons spokesperson tells 12 News, "We can confirm that employees at the Federal Correctional Institution Phoenix began feeling unwell following a possible exposure to an unknown substance. Some of the employees were transported to a local hospital by emergency medical services, and all have since been released. While the matter is under investigation, we have no further information to provide."
Morale is taking quite a hit a few times, but this is kind of a big one.
Hogan says the prison is short-staffed and has implemented an augmentation policy where non-correctional officers, including medical personnel and teachers, are told to work positions typically covered by officers. He says that's why 2 of the victims exposed were medical personnel, not officers.
They shouldn't have been happening.
Last summer, a correctional officer at a federal prison in California died after opening a letter that was laced with narcotics. Hogan fears that could happen again if changes aren't made soon.
We're not crying about doing the work. We asked for the job when we took it. What we're asking for is the tools in order to keep ourselves and the inmates safe and the community at large.
And Hogan says they believe the inmates in possession of that substance likely got rid of it before the lockdown and thorough search happened. It's unclear how it was brought into the facility and exactly what it was. But again, a prison spokesperson tells us all of this remains under investigation. We're live in studio tonight. Bianca Bono, 12 News.
All right, Bianca, thank you. Now to Tempe, where a crash knocked out power for nearly 1,000 SRP customers tonight. It happened just after 7 p.m. near Elliott Road and Priest Drive. Tempe police say that a car crashed into a transformer, causing nearby traffic lights, homes, and businesses to lose power. In fact, the Costco warehouse at Elliott and Priest had to close down early due to the outage. Crews have since restored all power in the area.
Scottsdale police investigating the death of a hiker whose body was found near the Gateway Trailhead in the McDowell-Sonoran Preserve. Police say 31-year-old Hannah Moody was last seen near the trailhead before heading out for a morning hike yesterday, but she never returned. She was reported missing by concerned friends last night, and police discovered her body this afternoon, about 600 yards off the trail. Police say there were no signs of foul play. However, their investigation is still active.
There is a slowdown happening right now on State Route 87 just south of Sunflower tonight after a brush fire broke out along both sides of the highway there. Officials with the Tonto National Forest say that the 215 fire was caused by a crash where one of the cars went up in flames. The fire burned over 3 acres there, and crews say that Forward progress has been stopped and it has been contained now. One lane is currently closed in both directions on State Route 87 as firefighters remain on the scene there, so you should expect delays if you're traveling through that area. Meanwhile, the Cody fire has now burned more than 1,000 acres southeast of Oracle, that's near Tucson, and crews still don't have any containment. The Pinal County Sheriff's Office says that people living in zones 5 and 13 through 19 are still in go status, which means to evacuate immediately. The town of Mammoth has opened its community center for anyone who needs to evacuate. The Red Cross has also opened the evacuation center at Canyon del Oro High School in Oro Valley.
All right, let's check in with meteorologist Lindsay Riley with our weather impact forecast. And Lindsay, let's start with the conditions for the firefighters. Are there any areas that'll see an elevated risk tomorrow?
There is, and part of northern Arizona, though, will be under critical fire risk tomorrow. But down near Oracle, where the Cody fire is burning, this is the hour-by-hour forecast heading into tomorrow. It's going to be a warm day there. Temperatures approaching 90 by the mid-afternoon. We will have 20 to 30-mile-per-hour gusts in the vicinity of that fire, and winds will be blowing from the southwest. We'll start off the day in the 70s briefly. Here's where we'll have elevated fire risk, and in this deep purple here, pink, that's critical fire danger. The tan is elevated, and you can see where the Cody fire is burning tonight. That area is in an elevated fire risk due to the increasing wind speeds tomorrow. Now, Saturday won't be quite as breezy, but you'll still notice a bit of an afternoon breeze. Here's our wind speeds around 4 p.m. tomorrow. Up in the high country, some gusts approaching 30. They'll die down after sunset, and then with the heating of the day on Saturday again, we'll continue to have those wind gusts between about 20 and 30 miles an hour across the state. Caribe.
All right, Lindsay, thank you. New at 10, a Valley woman hit with more than $300,000 worth of medical bills for procedures that she never went through is feeling a little bit of relief. That's because the fraudster who stole her identity and racked up all of that debt was just sentenced to nearly a decade behind bars. 12 News journalist Chase Golightly spoke with the victim about this tonight. And Chase, even with this sentencing, that doesn't necessarily mean that her troubles are gone.
Creepy, that's right. The real Jennifer O'Connor is still dealing with some of that debt and was told it could be years before her name is completely cleared. For 2 years, Jennifer O'Connor would get medical bills like this.
It was $300 for her ER visit.
Bills in her name, even though she wasn't the one who had the procedures. How often were you getting bills that didn't really belong to you?
Oh, almost every other day.
The person who did is this woman, 48-year-old Shannon Smith, and she racked up a lot of debt.
And I got a bill for over $200,000.
We're up to about $500,000 worth of fraudulent medical bills.
The Maricopa County Sheriff's Office telling us Smith stole O'Connor's identity.
The information was obtained by the victim's ex-husband.
No matter what O'Connor did to try to stop this, the bills kept coming. She battled every claim, but says her employer was garnishing her paychecks to pay the debt.
In tears, it was just never ending.
O'Connor also claims that Smith was using her name to avoid warrants out for her arrest in Idaho. Then in 2024, Smith was arrested here and charged with fraud. All this time later, the court sentenced her to nearly 10 years.
I feel so relieved that it's finally come to an end. It's been a long road.
O'Connor was in the courtroom when that sentence was read.
She just said that she was sorry, and it didn't seem very honest to me.
O'Connor says she hasn't received a medical bill in about 6 months, but was told by the judge it could be years before she's in the clear. O'Connor has since enrolled in an identity theft protection plan that Smith will have to pay.
I wish I would have had it before.
And has this.
I have to wear this medical alert bracelet saying my blood type and everything still.
Because if she were to ever get into a car accident and needed medical care, she doesn't want Smith's information to come up instead. But she'll take all of this if it means another one of these bills doesn't show up at her front door.
I'm just happy that she's behind bars for the next 8.5 years.
Now, O'Connor tells me with this case now closed, Smith will now have to go through the courts in Idaho for the charges she has there, believing this fraudster will spend a lot more time behind bars. We're live in the studio. Chase Golightly, 12 News.
Thanks. Yesterday, you may remember, we reported on what had happened outside of Phoenix Immigration Court, with ICE officers detaining 3 people who had shown up for their immigration hearings. Tonight, there are still a lot of questions. Several immigration attorneys that we talked to today told us that the families haven't been able to get any clarity from the Department of Justice or ICE on where the people were taken. One thing we did learn is that these deportations are happening across the country. Government attorneys were told a few days ago to start dismissing people's cases, which then gives federal agents the ability to detain them. These are all people who don't have any criminal backgrounds and are seeking asylum.
I was upstairs. I saw some of the proceedings. I saw this woman. When you come to these proceedings, you're supposed to come with your whole family. She didn't bring her daughter with her. And the judge was like, "Why didn't you bring your daughter today?" She said, "Well, I didn't bring my daughter because today is her middle school graduation. From here, I'm going to go pick her up. We're going to go celebrate." That lady was picked up and taken away. Her daughter probably has no idea.
12 News has reached out to ICE and the DOJ's executive office for the latest on these detainments. So far, we have not heard back.
Arizona Attorney General Chris Mays is officially pursuing a warrant of execution for death row inmate Richard Jerf. Jerf was convicted of killing a family of 4 in 1993 and pleaded guilty 3 years later. Police believe that he showed up to the family's home seeking revenge for an apparent burglary and posed as a flower delivery man to get inside. Arizona carried out its first execution in more than 2 years back in March.
The city of Scottsdale is moving forward with plans to add more parking to Old Town, and that means building up, as in vertical. The city council has approved adding 2 more levels to the existing parking corral on Brown Avenue. But there's a trade-off. The Saturday Farmers Market, which currently operates in that lot, they'll have to find a new home. Mayor Lisa Borowski opposed the project and believes other locations should be considered instead. Still, the council voted unanimously to move ahead with the project. Work is set to begin next summer and will take about a year to complete.